In 2024, Microsoft announced a feature that would photograph your screen. Every few seconds, forever, your passwords, your messages, your bank account, all of it silently filed away on your own computer. And that was just the beginning. Because for 40 years, Microsoft Windows has been the operating system most of the world never actually chose. It came pre-installed. It was simply there, on almost every computer, in almost every office, in almost every home. But over the last 2 years, Windows started doing something new. It started nagging you. Artificial intelligence buttons appeared inside Notepad, inside Paint, inside the tool you use to take screenshots. Millions of users never asked for any of it, and when they complained, Microsoft's own CEO told the world to move on. When users invented a word to describe what Windows had become, Microsoft banned the word. And then something happened that has almost never happened in 4 decades. The numbers started falling, users started walking away, and Microsoft, the most stubborn company in the history of software, publicly surrendered. So how did the company that once killed the world's most annoying software become the world's most annoying software? Let's get right into it. To understand how far Microsoft fell, you have to remember what it once got right. For most of computing history, owning a Windows PC meant paying a yearly tax to companies like McAfee and Norton, just to keep your machines safe. Their software nagged you, slowed your computer down, and was famously almost impossible to uninstall. Then, Microsoft did something quietly brilliant. It built protection directly into Windows, for free. Microsoft Defender became good enough that for hundreds of millions of people, the entire paid antivirus industry became unnecessary overnight. Tech reviewers celebrated it. Users loved Microsoft had killed the Nagware kings by simply respecting its own customers. Windows 10, released in 2015, became one of the most widely used operating systems ever built. It was stable, it was familiar, it mostly stayed out of your way. Microsoft had earned something it had spent decades chasing: trust. And then, piece by piece, it spent the next several years setting that trust on fire. In May of 2024, Microsoft announced a new flagship feature for Windows. It was called Recall. And the pitch sounded like science fiction. Your computer would take screenshots of your activity continuously and store them in a searchable memory so you could scroll back through everything you had ever done. Here is the mechanism that made people furious. Recall did not just capture the websites you visited. Security researchers demonstrated that it could capture passwords on screen, private messages, banking details, medical records, anything visible, photographed and filed away on your machine. Researchers tore it apart within days. Privacy advocates called it a surveillance system with a friendly name. The outcry was so severe that Microsoft delayed the feature for an entire year before quietly shipping a reworked version in 2025. But the damage was done. For the first time in the modern era, ordinary users looked at a Windows feature and asked a dangerous question: who is this actually for? Because it clearly was not for them. It was for Microsoft's new obsession, and that obsession was about to swallow the entire operating system. Throughout 2025, Microsoft threaded its artificial intelligence assistant, Copilot, into virtually every corner of Windows. Open Notepad to jot down a phone number, and Copilot offered to summarize it. 3 words, summarized, open Paint, and Copilot wanted to generate images for you. The Photos app, File Explorer, the Snipping tool, the taskbar, even Xbox. Everywhere you looked, a glowing icon was waiting, asking to help with things nobody had asked for help with. And here is the number that exposes the whole strategy. Microsoft charged businesses $30 per user every month for its premium Copilot assistant. The adoption rate among Microsoft 365 users? Reportedly barely 3%. Users were not buying it. So Microsoft made sure they could not avoid it. Meanwhile, the company was applying pressure from another direction. Windows 10, the version people actually liked, reached its end of support in October of 2025. No more free security updates. And here was the trap. Windows 11 demanded modern hardware requirements that locked out hundreds of millions of perfectly functional computers. Users faced a choice that did not feel like a choice at all. Buy a new PC, pay for extended security updates, or accept an operating system that was rapidly turning into a demo for artificial intelligence. Full-screen upgrade prompts appeared on Windows 10 machines. The nagging that Microsoft once rescued users from was now coming from Microsoft itself. And in the final weeks of 2025, the company's own leadership poured gasoline on the fire. In November of 2025, the president of Windows, Pavan Davaluri, posted publicly about his vision for the future. Windows, he said, was evolving into an agentic operating system. An operating system where artificial intelligence agents could act on your behalf, with access to your files, your documents, your photos. The response was thousands of furious replies. Users did not want agents. They wanted a start menu that did not lag. They wanted a search bar that did not serve ads. The revolt grew so intense that replies to the post were shut off. Then, on December 29th, Chief Executive Satya Nadella published a year-end blog post about the future of artificial intelligence. In it, he urged the world to move beyond the argument over whether AI content was slop. The timing could not have been worse. Slop, the word for low-quality AI-generated content, had just been named Word of the Year by Merriam-Webster, the dictionary itself. And the internet did what the internet does best. Within hours, a new word was trending globally. Microslop, Microsoft, plus slop. One word that fused every scattered complaint. The recall surveillance, the Copilot buttons, the broken features, the forced upgrades, into a single, repeatable verdict. By telling users to stop calling it slop, Nadella had achieved the exact opposite. The harder Microsoft pushed back, the faster the word spread, and this time, the anger did not stay in the comment sections. It showed up in the one place Microsoft could not ignore: the numbers. And everything that happened next, Microsoft brought entirely on itself. In October of 2025, Windows 11 held over 55% of the desktop Windows market. By January of 2026, that figure had collapsed to just under 51%. More than 5 points gone in a matter of months. And where were those users going? Some rolled back to Windows 10, even without security updates, deciding that an unsupported system was better than an insufferable one. Some went further. Windows 7, an operating system from 2009, actually rose from the grave, climbing in market share as users dug out old installations rather than live with the new Windows. And a growing wave left Microsoft entirely. In the United States, Linux, the free open-source alternative, broke 5% of desktop market share for the first time in history. Analysts pointed to the same catalysts again and again: the privacy intrusions, the hardware lockouts, the forced updates, the artificial intelligence nobody wanted. For 40 years, Microsoft's greatest asset was inertia. Users stayed because leaving was unthinkable. Now, ordinary people were doing the unthinkable, one installation at a time. Faced with a shrinking share and a viral nickname, Microsoft had a decision to make: listen to its users, or silence them. It chose to silence them, and it backfired in the most humiliating way possible. In early 2026, users noticed something strange on Microsoft's official Copilot community server. The word Microslop was banned. Any message containing it was automatically blocked, flagged as inappropriate by the server's rules. A $3 trillion corporation was fighting a word. And it lost instantly. Users flooded the server with workarounds. Microslop spelled with a zero, Microslop written in Greek letters. Endless creative variants, faster than any filter could catch them. The raid grew so chaotic that Microsoft locked down its own server just to make it stop. Think about what that moment actually was. The company that built the personal computer era brought to a standstill in a spelling war against its own customers. Screenshots of the ban spread everywhere, and the word Microsoft tried to erase became more famous than ever. It was the same mistake Nadella had made, repeated at corporate scale. Every attempt at suppression became an advertisement for the criticism. Microsoft's brand sentiment sank to what many observers called an all-time low. And this humiliation was not bad luck. It was earned. The nagging empire had run out of moves. There was only one thing left to do. The thing Microsoft almost never does. In March of 2026, Microsoft blinked. The same Windows president who had promised an agentic operating system now announced a very different vision. Microsoft, he said, would be more intentional about how and where Copilot appears in Windows, focusing only on experiences that are genuinely useful and well-crafted. Translated from corporate language, that was an admission. The old approach was neither. And then, the retreat began, piece by piece. The Copilot icon vanished from Notepad, replaced by a quiet writing tool. The snipping tool dropped its Copilot button without a word. The taskbar button now defaults to off. Plans to push Copilot into notifications and settings were shelved entirely. Microsoft even shipped something users had begged for, the ability to uninstall the Copilot app. And it canceled plans to automatically install its Copilot software on Windows 11 machines. The company publicly promised 2026 would be devoted to performance, reliability, and fixing the fundamentals users had complained about for years. It was, by many accounts, the first major retreat from forced artificial intelligence by any tech giant. Now let's be honest about the ending. Microsoft is not dead. Windows 11 crossed 1 billion devices this year, and Microsoft remains one of the most valuable companies on the planet. But something did die. The Microsoft that believed you had no choice. The Microsoft that could ship surveillance features, cram unwanted software into every menu, ban the words its own users invented, and assume everyone would simply take it. That Microsoft was killed. In public, by ordinary users with nothing but market share numbers and one perfect word. And after everything you just watched, it deserved it. The question now is whether the apology is real or whether Microsoft is simply waiting for you to stop paying attention. Because trust, once burned, does not come pre-installed. And the next time a company decides you have no choice, remember that Microsoft thought so too.